welcome to the.
We have to get out and go do for self in our own communities.
So
And the
okay,
only
so
reason,
define do for self.
when I say do for self, you shared one of my tweets, my videos, and I was actually a big fan of yours, but you shared one of my tweets when I said black people need to stop begging the government and go and do for self out in our communities. You shared the video and called me an idiot. I didn't see anything idiotic about that
No, no,
statement
no,
at
no, no.
all.
So when you say do for self, like what?
Mm-hmm.
Explain that.
Okay. Okay, for example, here in Albany, Georgia, we complain about our school systems a lot. Many of our young men can't read. They have very horrible literacy rates. We don't have any rehab programs here for juvenile offenders. What I decided to do, I started a program 2 years ago, decided to do for self, and I started taking children into my home. I started taking custody of kids from juvenile court, and I started molding them and training them and teaching them skill trades, etc. Now I'm 21 years old. I just purchased a school here in Albany, Georgia, to combat us being in the government funded schools that are not teaching our children what they need to learn. So that's what I mean by do for self, simply getting up and going out and do it.
So
I beat the stereotype that I'm young, black, in America and I can't do anything because somebody's holding me down. Absolutely not.
So a question.
Teenagers went and go ahead. Me and some teenagers went and bought a school, and we just bought a school bus simply from going out and doing work. We decided to go fix our own communities. I'm not expecting anything from no politician. I'm not expecting nothing from Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or nobody. We're gonna go do it for ourselves, and that's what I believe we need to be doing. I can vote, sure, but nothing's gonna change in our community.
So you went to
Dr. Crip Show. I'm your host, Dr. Crip. We back again. You know, we still haven't got the new studio, but we just changed the look up to bring you a better look and let y'all know how serious we taking this stuff here. But we still in effect, you know, we still doing the same thing. It's no more in 24. Ain't nothing changed. But we still pushing our narrative. We got the books. You feel me? You know, we still doing the same thing with the books. We added short stories to our program now. I'm gonna put it up when you go to drcrip.com. I'm making the page on the website right now. But the short stories are fascinating. So it's about people, different stories, it's straight from the mind of your boy Dr. Crip, about anything, letting you know the levels of what the mind can take you to and what a child can do when you put your mind to it. Because, you know, they probably have fascinating stories too. But we also got a lot going on. We just figured out how to, may not be, it could be easy to some people, whatever though, you know, but we just figured it out. So we probably be bringing you some more content like that. We figured out how to add the video when I'm talking, you know, so we got a couple of videos that we're going to go over today that show you how, you know, infiltrators, you know, these people out here that say they trying to help the community, they want to work with gangs, but their story, their background. See, what's happening right now is that everybody wants to be a gang member, a so-called retired gang member, a podcaster, everything. You know what I'm saying? Probably including myself. But once you decide to come on and give people around the world, because I get messages from people around the world, people pay attention to this. So I feel so sorry for the people that believe and hear the comments of the people that they see that's talking, that's all on the internet, because every day is somebody getting exposed for some bull, you know, for something fraudulent. Now you got some solid homies too that got real podcasts and everything. But the main narrative should be from all the podcasters that's been doing it is, man, whether I'm giving you this useless information is let's end the violence. That's nowhere on nobody podcast, nowhere. And, you know, it's just like the crab in the bucket. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be the best Crip. I'm going to be the best blood broadcaster out here. I'm going to be the best whatever. Because now, like I said, you could just get on the internet, nigga, and that's your whole career. And, you know, you could pull up here and there in your hood and whatever it is, and you can skate by on that, you know? at the minimum gang banging work. That's why I keep trying to tell you people that kids have being a gang member on their list of successful people. Stop believing what you see on this internet and get down to the root and figure out what people are telling the truth and what people ain't. Because I'm open for many discussions on this platform right here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here to tell you that gang banging ain't shit. It ain't never been shit. It never was shit. And it ain't gonna ever be shit. Let's get this straight right now. Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, Disciples, whatever it is. And I'm just talking about blacks. And we do have people, other races mixed in with whatever is going on. The gangsterism attitude, hustle, whatever you want to call it, whatever you call it, it's gangs. GAMD, gang addiction, mental disorder. Gangs, period. No matter how you chop it up, no matter how you say it, it is the number one destruction killer of the whole black community. The fact that your child leave the house and think that he is a gangster, a hustler, a criminal, a blood, or whatever it is in his mind that he think that he is. When you make the decision that you're going to sell drugs, you're going to join a gang, you want to be in the hood, this and that. That is the number one killer, because out of all that, you got innocent deaths. You got children dying. You got old folks dying. You got drug overdose. You feel me? You got everything that's associated with I am a gangster, I am a hustler, I am a criminal, I'm a Damu, Keyway, whatever you call yourself. And it's all an illusion. None of it is real. Because at the end of the day, they don't tell you who is who, what is what, and how it's going to affect you. Now, that's the way life is. You have a very small percentage of people that come out of gangs, live their life, do something with it, and die. You know what that's called? Managing your sickness. That is what that is called. Managing your sickness. Just like Mr. Wilson up the street. He had cancer. But guess what he did? He lived a long time. They told him he was going to die in a year or 2, 3 years. Guess what? He changed his appetite. He started exercising. He started being around people with good energy. He started attending good energy events and places. He got his spiritual up. And guess what? Mr. Wilson lived to 70-something years old. And he died peacefully. That can happen in a gang for an individual person that's a blood. You equate that to the homie who was balling at an early age, been through stuff, whatever. Ended up getting a business, opened up his own business, got into a business lane, whatever. And he lived his life comfortably. He took care of his family, and he died peacefully in the streets, at home, God willing, at home, and not in, from something terrible, a tragic ending, but he lived good. That's a small percentage of homies. What are you talking about? Most homies died, shot down, 55, still got caught innocent, was standing right there, anything, you know what I'm saying? That's just a chance you take. But you could have got killed and you was living your life good, but you were just, that was God. Wrong place, wrong time. And he took you. That's a very small percentage of homies that's going to live like that. That's going to get that benefit of being like that. That's why Dr. Crip tell you what you're suffering from right now so you can manage this sickness. This is the cure. I have the cure and everything. The cure is to do something positive in your life. It's to change someone's life. It's to add meaningful events and situations to your life. Get something going on in your life that's positive, whether it be for business purposes or whatever. Even the podcaster who's doing this useless information. Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep telling them about the hood, the Crips, where the Crips started, woo. Even though this shit don't benefit nobody, you're not gonna get nothing in college. Like the homie from who I was watching another podcast, and the young homie from Hoover, he said, "Man, you don't have to go to college to be no podcaster. This ain't no brilliant. You have to be a mastermind. All you have to do is understand the knowledge of algorithm, and you can be a podcaster. And you may succeed, you may not. But this is the next generation of buffoonery that's taking place in front of everybody, that you're going to see people making, like, oh man, this dude he not making the cut. Oh, this dude is real. I'm listening to what he's saying. Like I said, you still got people 60 some years old that won't wear red, won't wear blue. You suffering from GAMD still. You may be having something going on, but you still suffering. So that thought somehow is not going to make it. You feel me? But it's to each his own, and God willing that your message get through to somebody, because you generally saying, we need to come together. At some point in your podcast, like, hey man, listen, everything the Crips did, everything the Bloods did was wrong. That's what we need more of. Point blank, period. So, and it brings me to this point, when you get people like that, who to listen to and who not to listen to. Because some people going to be suspect, some people ain't. For example, this guy right here, his name, he called himself his name is Tyrone White. He don't give his gang name. I don't know why, but he say he was from Menlo. Now, the thing, it was on some website called the Business Insider, how crime works. Like, why do I need to know how crime works? I don't understand this. I don't understand the point of this interview. I don't understand the point of what this dude is trying to say. He giving the same facts that we already know, and you trying to make it seem like this is something that we don't know already about how gangs work and whoop and this and that. But what I do want to do, I should have had this up too. What I do want to do is I want to read this guy, his bio. That's what I really want to read. His bio. So you can see, so you can hear it for yourself. And I don't know why I didn't have all this stuff set up. I apologize for that. But hold on, let me do it like this. Oh yeah, okay. Let me see this one right here. Let me go right here. Is this it? Okay, yeah, this is it right here. Now, this video was just released the other day. This station got 8.5 subscribers. Business Insider. That's the name of it. This video was put up March 14th, 2 days ago. It got 566,640 views. Now, listen to this, and we're going to go over this video too, because I want people to understand, don't believe what you see with these people on these podcasts that's thinking that they trying to do something good or do something, that's worthy in the community or whatever. It's basically, would you call it, what everybody call it, clout chasing, because being a gang member, a retired gang member, and trying to do this is supposed to be the thing now. These gang interventionists, I told y'all already, the gang interventionists, a lot of them want money. A lot of them is not in it to really help people in the streets. I've been doing this for over 25 years and ain't really got nothing to show for it, but had many opportunities to have a whole lot to show for it. That's my fault for not taking advantage of it. But it's well deserved to the people that's really out here fighting, that's really been on the front line. Now, I don't know who this dude is, but he say he an actor too at the end. So, just be aware, because I want you to listen to this story, because if this dude pulled up in the hood, in my hood, and said all this, he might be getting socked out. Now, and I know I ain't going to say nothing about the Menlos, because like I said, first of all, I lived in Menlo Hood. This dude from Menlo. I lived in Menlo Hood. I'm 75% of the bridge to Menlo and 9-0. I lived over there for 20-something years, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. So I can't say I know this dude. I can't say I don't know this dude. But it's awfully funny that I don't know you, and you saying the 80s, 2000s, the 90s, you've been over there and you participated in drive-bys, you did all this and that, but you became a police officer. Listen, don't listen. Let's go over this. Let me tell you how felonious some of this sounds. Now, let's start. His name is Tyrone White. Was a member of the 6'5" Menlo gangster fraction of the Crips gang in South Central Los Angeles during the late 80s. Late mean 86, 87, 88, 89. In the 90s. Witnessing police brutality in the LA riots. Some of the stuff he going over. Now, White held the position of a street soldier. Another way of saying that, nigga, you was a busser. That's, I assume, like you were one who was putting in work. So, which is going to go play into this. Check this out. White held the position of a street soldier and participated in drug dealing, gang banging, and neighborhood drive-bys. He later joined a police force in Oklahoma. After resigning, he went to jail for robberies. Already crazy. White speaks with Business Insider about his experience as a gang member, the culture of the Crips, and the rivalry with the Bloods. He talks about money-making activities, clothing, and music. He also covers the role of celebrity Crips, such as Snoop Dogg and Big U, in gang prevention with California. After he was released from jail, he pursued a career in acting and worked with the Eagle Ridge Institution. Now, let's get into this dude video. I want y'all to hear. You heard what I said. Now let's listen to this dude as he explain it, and I'm gonna go over it as he talking to let you know how felonious and something is wrong with this picture. Watch this. Let's get into this.
My name is Tyrone White. I'm a former 6'5" Menlo Crip. Some of my rivalries were the Blood gangs and the Crip gangs. We were involved in drive-by shootings as well as drug dealing, and this is how crime works. Yeah, of course I've participated in drive-bys.
right off the top, he said of course I participated in drive-bys. Like, okay, that's a red flag right there.
I've been a victim of drive-bys plenty of times. When you're going against war with one another, there's no winners. Now you can look at it and say, okay, I shot more of their homies than they shot of mine, or I killed more of their homies or they killed of mine. But both sides are taking losses. So if you both are taking a loss of life, there's no winners. When I was coming up, the guns that were used in gang bangings were the 9mm, the 45s, Mossberg 12 gauge shotgun pump, AK-47s, Tech 9s. The first gun that I ever got placed in my hand, given to me as a gift from one of my homeboys, was a 25, a chrome 25, little small 25 with the pearl handle. Had like 6 shots in it or something like that. And as you got older and you learn more about guns and elevate yourself, of course, you get bigger guns. Guns are sold on the street like dope is sold on the street. You can even buy guns from enemy gangs, because right now it's a business. It's about making this money. They come from everywhere. Now, where they get them from could be from the police force. It could be from the military. You can never be caught what we call lacking or slipping. You got to always be ready. You got to have enough firepower. You are ready for war at all times.
See, now notice how as he talking, they showing these videos behind it to illustrate the point of what he making. Like, he really was a dude out there like that. Now, this is what he said. The 80s, the 90s. So you supposed to be your age bracket, what I'm looking at, like, homie, I mean, you can't say you a G or none of that if you in your 40s. You have to be in your 50s to be a G and all this right now. A street soldier, you were supposed to be a G back then, but starting from way back then to right now, if you're in your 50s, so it's already suspect.
From the early 80s all the way up through the mid 90s, those were the years of heightened gang activities. So drive-by shootings were nothing. You could literally turn your news on every day during those years and see a drive-by shooting. I mean, every day. We had a drive-by shooting to where that I participated in. I walked in the house and I remember seeing it on the news. I must have been about 15 at that time.
You understand what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You saying that you was 15 in the 80s or the 90s, whichever one you talking about, I don't know. But your age bracket right there don't even sound right with your look of who you are right now.
I remember my mom was on the phone and she was like, I'm so tired of these kids shooting one another and killing one another. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, she has no idea that I was just in this situation. She never found out about it, but I just remembered the way that I felt listening to her on the phone, telling her friend, like, man, these kids need to stop this and this is crazy. And there's another situation to where we were getting ready to go out on what they call Sunday Fun Day, when all the lowriders, all the motorcycle clubs, all the car clubs, all the gang members, that's like the one day to where all the gang members, enemies, everybody can congregate in one area on Crenshaw Boulevard. I remember we seen a car pull up to the corner. And usually when you see cars pull up in the corner with no lights or anything like that, you know that's a sign of something that's gonna happen. And all you see was guns come out the window and everybody just got to shooting at everybody. And we all just scattered like ants, just everybody screaming, hollering, running, scattering, because no one had guns actually on their person at the time. One of my big homeboys, he was very known. He had got hit in the face because they shot with a 12 gauge and they had buckshots. but it didn't kill them because they weren't shot at close range. Luckily, nobody got killed. The Crips were founded in the 60s and by Raymond Washington. He formed the East Side Crips, which is on the east side of LA. Tookie Williams formed the West Side Crips. And through those two different foundations, different sets start to evolve. Different areas, you know, the Hoovers, the East Coast, the Rolling 60s, the Menlos, all these different sets. The object and the goal was to keep this side of LA safe. But, you know, as usual, things escalated, things multiplied, and violence became, shit happened. When Raymond Washington got killed, that's what caused the division. That's when Crippin became divided between the East and the West.
Now, is he speaking from experience, or he speaking from is what he hearing? Because he telling the story of like he was there, and he just know because I'm just hell of a street soldier nigga. That's what he's basically what he's saying. Now, are you just repeating information that's already out there that everybody already know, and you trying to make it seem like, you know, this is how infiltrators do, you know, because you always get took by your own. So it's gonna be your own kind that's gonna take you down.
And different things start happening in different subsets, and it just became like a disease. You know, one Crip set betrayed this Crip set, and then it just caused a never-ending feud. Bloods used to be the main rivals of the Crips, but now there are just as many Crips are against one another than there are Bloods. A lot of Crips and Bloods have become allies because they share the same common Crip enemy. For example, the A-Trade Gangster Crips, they have a peace treaty going on with the Inglewood family Bloods, and that's because their borderline is connected right next to one another. So since our neighborhoods are so close to one another, you got to come through my neighborhood to get home. I got to come to your neighborhood to get home. Let's make this a blood-free zone. No violence. Not saying that we're homeboys or we're just a close hood, but let's keep the peace between this dynamic, between this area. The beef.
Sucker, for real. Check this out. Sue Whoop Moving and Grooving was not created because of that. Get that straight right now. Sue Whooping, Moving and Grooving was not created because of what this fool just said. That is a situation that you have to be active to know. And you have to be there to know. If you're not there, you're not gang banging at that time when it was created, you do not know about it. If you're not in the county jail at that time, you do not know about it. If you're not on the front line in your hood, you do not know about it. If you're not a G in your hood at that time, you do not know about it. That is felonious information.
Between the 6'5" Menlo Crips and the Hoover Crips, it goes way back. We actually all grew up together and went to school together. We became one of the biggest enemies to the Hoovers because our sets are so close to one another. To get to the Hoover hood, you got to come through our hood. You know what I'm saying? And so for us to get to other parts of the city, we got to go through the Hoover hood.
This dude right here. Part true, part false. Knowledge that you picked up on the street, I don't know. Did you hear this? Did somebody tell you this? Because check this out. Since the 80s, I know the Hoovers hated 9-0s more than anything on this planet. So I don't know where you get that from, but keep lying. Let's hear some more of this fairy tale story.
I was born and raised in South Central LA all my life. Had a stepfather in my life that taught me how to be a man and different things. But for the most part, I was raised by a strong single mother. Usually in the black neighborhoods, when kids that come from single parent homes like that, they usually get caught up in these streets because your mom is out working, trying to make a living for you, provide for you. While she's at work, you're out there running the streets, doing shit that you know you're not supposed to be doing. And that's pretty much how I started it. I was about 10 when I first started hanging around them. I knew them very well. It comes down to, hey, you know, you've been hanging around us a lot. You've been chilling a lot. You from the hood. You know, let's make it official. You know, and making it official means getting jumped in or doing something to be a member of the gang. Can be anything from you fighting one person, sometimes 4 or 5 persons. It's to see how you handle yourself. It's to see what type of skills you have. If you get into one of these type situations, you know, can you stand your ground and hold your own, whether you get beat up or not? You have to know how to fight back. You got to be a monster to be a member of any gang, but particularly the Crips, you better be a monster. The word Crip was really originally meant community, resistance, and progress. It was a...
And who told you that? Were you there? Did somebody tell you that? Because let me tell you something. I know people that was there, and that shit don't mean nothing. Ain't no 13-year-old people talking about, hey, we gonna call ourselves Crip, and it means community, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Man, knock all that shit off. Who told you that? Where'd you get that from?
Way to bring the community, to uplift the community, to protect the community. Of course, they took on a moniker and the appearance of a gang because according to the dictionary, a group of 5 or more people is considered a gang. To be a Crip, you have to carry yourself a certain way. You have to walk a certain way. But for me, the allure was I loved the color blue, and they wore blue rags. They wore blue jeans. They wore blue belts. They wore blue Chuck Taylors. The dress code for me back when I was an active Crip in the 90s, in the early 80s, it was definitely 501 Levi jeans.
Did you hear what he said? He said early 80s and 90s. That's 20-something years. Now remember what he said.
Creased. I would go buy a can of starch and literally spend about an hour ironing my pants, layering the starch to a point to where before I even put my pants on, I could stand them up. Crips wore K-Swiss because it was an acronym. It was actually a disrespectful term towards the Bloods. It was called K-Swiss, stood for kill slobs when I see some. Slobs is a disrespectful term towards the Bloods. If you wasn't a Crip, you couldn't Crip walk. If you wasn't a Crip, you didn't know how to Crip walk. And so to learn how to Crip walk and to actually perfect something like that was like a badge of honor. It's a cool thing. It's when you look at it, the feet movement, the way they dance, the way they do it, the way they incorporate certain moves, along with the hand signs and the hand signals. Words that you Crips usually use, which was part of the lingo, was, of course, cuz. Everything we say would start with a C. If you had to say burger, you say Kurger. You know, if you say you say sitch. It's just different things that you could replace the B with a C, you would do it. And that was the same thing with the Bloods. Anything with a C, they wanted to eliminate it. And it may sound strange, and people might be, no, that's stupid. Y'all sound stupid. That was our language. That was the way that we talked. We understood it. And that's all that matters. And if you disrespect us and tell us it sounds stupid, you might get your ass whipped. Of course, they throw up the C. You know, the C is just, you just take your hands, you make a C with your hand. And now you're set, your actual neighborhood, your Crip neighborhood, like the 60s, they have their signs. The Hoovers, they have their signs. The Menlos, they have their signs. You're going to throw up that sign to represent, to let people know that you're actually from that set. You're from that neighborhood. We threw up the M. It was just an M. You just take your hands, cross your, which is just how Ice Cube throw up the W when he's in concert and taking pictures. Snoop Dogg throws up the W, just turn it upside down and you throw up the M. Gang graffiti is a big part of the Crips. People that are coming in there, they know when they see that on the wall, the Rolling 60 Crips or the Menlo Crips or the 5-5 Crips, they know we're entering this gang. This is their neighborhood. The gang structure is not so much organized like the mafia with underbosses and bosses and stuff like that. We didn't give titles like that. But people automatically knew who the OGs were, who the double OGs were, who the big homies was, and who was ranked over who. The double OG is usually one of the big homies that has put in more work than you can imagine.
If you was from the early 80s to right now, you a G by default. I don't understand this. It's kind of confusing to me that you sit here in this chair and you call yourself a street soldier in the 80s, the 90s, all the way up to whenever you join the police and how this works and all that. Just this whole story sounds felonious, and it's just a way to get clout chasing done through people. So don't just let people tell you and make it seem like, oh, what this guy is saying is right because of the structure of where it's coming from a social media newspaper and the way that they formatted it to make it look good and make it sound like, oh, this guy is telling you the truth and all this. Man, this shit sounds felonious for real.
He's done it all. Killed, robbed, made money, been to jail. You name it, he's done it. Usually 50s, 60s, higher age, that they were around in the 70s, in the 80s when gangbanging really just exploded. They were at the top of their game. An OG really falls not too much different from a double OG, except that he may be a little younger, may have done a little less other crimes. Then you have some of the OGs that have turned their lives around and they just want to live life, have a family, have wife and kids, and they getting money, they're making money the legal way. So what makes them an OG is the fact that they're talking to the little homies, to the young homies, showing them and explaining to them how they were able to do this. Street soldier is exactly what that sounds like. A street soldier is going to go out there and put in that work for the OG, for the double OG, for the little homies, or just for the set and period. A street soldier has no limits. He's going to go out there and do what he has to do, no matter what. The little homies are usually, of course, what they sound like. The little homies that's looking up to the big homies. They're going to imitate, they're going to copy everything that the big homies do. And if the big homies is constantly going to jail, robbing people, shooting people, killing people, the little homies going to follow suit at some point. My main thing was always to look out for my big homie, or whoever called me they big homie, and make sure that he was taken care of and vice versa, because he does the same for me. He don't have to, but he does. I started out selling weed in middle school and then moved to crack cocaine and robbing. I did robberies. That was my way mostly of making money and keeping money in my pocket. The big homies had the big dope and they'll issue it out to the younger homies. They'll issue it down to the guys to the next level. And it was a way for everybody from the big homie, OG homies, all the way down to the homies in junior high school to make money. The homies in junior high school, they may be out there selling crack on the corners, $5 rocks, $10 rocks, $20 rocks. The big homies, they move in big weight, ounces, quarter pounds, stuff like that. The drugs came from a lot of times from drug cartels and as well as the government, believe it or not. I mean, there's a story about Freeway Rick, one of the biggest black dope dealers in history of Los Angeles. And he was caught up in that Iran-Contra stuff with Ronald Reagan, and come to find out that the DEA was supplying him with dope, the same dope that they gave him 30 years for in prison. So, you know, it's like that's just how it worked. They put it in our neighborhoods to bring us down, to keep us down. Always a goal of Crips to make a substantial amount of money and to open up your own business, whether it be a smoke shop, a liquor store, or a foods place, or whatever. That was the goal, to find a way to take that money and make it somewhat as legal as you can. The LA riots happened in 92. I was 18 years old at that time. The LA riots was a result of the Rodney King verdict. Those
Did you hear what he said? He was 18 in 92. But you was 15 in the 80s. It's something going on with this math. See, this is one of these stories where the nigga come to jail and the nigga telling that story and nigga just listening and don't say nothing. And at the end, you start hitting this nigga with a bunch of questions. And when that shit start going wrong and bad and you trying to clean it up, it don't work out too good because something not mixing right. It ain't sounding good. And I'm looking at his movement and his mannerisms and everything. So you know it's something going on.
4 officers that were clearly guilty as hell on video beating Rodney King half to death when they were found innocent, that just sparked something in the community. I didn't ever think I would see nothing like that. The ground zero of the riots happened 5 blocks from my house. I was sitting at home watching the news. I seen the news. So we jump in the car, we drive up to the riots. By this time, you got hundreds and hundreds of people starting to migrate to Florence and Normandy. So at this point, it just kicked off. It was spread like wildfire. Every car that came through the intersection that had a white person in it was getting attacked. I saw news reporters getting beat up. I saw cameramans getting beat up, getting the cameras taken from them. And at that time, it really didn't matter what gang you were from, because now it's a black against white thing now. So it didn't matter if you was a Blood or a Crip or whatever you was. Even though it was such a messed up day, it's such a fucked up day, it was also a day to kind of rejoice, because that was the first time in a long time that you saw common enemies, Crips and Bloods and Mexican gangs, come together against this one common enemy, the LAPD. And so after days of rioting, some of the community leaders like Jim Brown, the football player, a couple of popular gang leaders from different gangs, from different areas, different sets, had a meeting and decided that this was the perfect opportunity to try to bring a peace treaty, a truce between the gangs. Even though it was something bad that caused us to get to that level, it still was an opportunity for us to bring things together. The peace treaty lasted officially maybe a good couple weeks. And it kind of continued to dissolve as weeks and months went on, to the point to where it didn't exist no more.
Gotta be there to know what happened. First incident was at the skating rink. If you a Crip, if you a Blood, and you on the front line of your hood, you should know that. You should know exactly what took place in the city. If you a part of anything, you should not be making statements like that. You should know. All I'm saying is pay attention, man. Judas and man, what is that movie called? Judas and the Black Messiah, man. You feel me? They use your own kind to infiltrate and try to make you think something of what it is and make it sound good, and it's all felonious, you know, it's all bad. You know, that's what this dude, this what this guy is giving vibes off like that. From your own story of what you're saying, what I read about his bio to what you're saying on camera. I don't know who This video, they think they helping. Who was this supposed to help reach?
But for that little short time, it was great to have it. When gangster rap came out, it introduced a lot of Cripping, a lot of Crips. And when NWA came out, which is the group that started gangster rap, Eazy-E, rest in peace, Eazy-E was known to be a Crip. And from him, you had other pioneer rappers that were from Crip neighborhoods. You had Snoop Dogg, you had Dub C, all these popular gang rappers that was in the neighborhoods representing their hoods that were blowing up on the mainstream. And so now you got people sitting at home watching MTV, 106 in Park. They're watching all these video shows, and they got these gang members doing rap videos with the blue rags and the six foes and the lowriders and wearing all the gang attire and the gang uniform, but they're actually artists making money on TV, and now it's being broadcast all over the world. Aside from the UK and the Netherlands, I've heard about Crips in China. I heard there's some Crips in Africa, which I've actually seen online, social media. People in Africa cripping and just loving this West Coast culture. And I think all these countries adapted on to these United States values and these United States ways just because of how it was glorified. Not really understanding the meaning of it. You know, that people lost their lives and people are killing. This is not something to play with.
Becoming a cop. Listen to this.
In 1994, I went to Oklahoma. I got a football scholarship to go to Oklahoma to play football. That's pretty much really what saved me from being killed or anything else bad happening to me on these LA streets. Played football there for 2 years at a historically black college. In 1996, 97, I moved to Oklahoma City, and I started working at the Juvenile Detention Center. They needed a gang advisor, a gang trainer. So, of course, I was qualified for that, just volunteering.
Now, look, you working at a detention center. Now, remember, you said in the 80s, in the 90s, you a super hardcore street soldier. I don't see no tattoos on you. Every Menlo I know got tattoos on them. You ain't said nothing about that. Do you have a record? If you this drive-by shooting, gang banging drug dealer dude, you've been to the county jail before several times. So you can't be no counselor working in a detention center. Come on, man.
My time talking to the kids and, you know, educating them on gangs and telling them because I had no idea Oklahoma had a gang problem.
In 1996, you a gang member. This is 4 years after the riots. And you start changing your life around or whatever you said from this hardcore. You know, you was 15 and come on, man, listen. Let's get to this. In 1996, you this super gang counselor, and you said that you didn't know Oklahoma had a gang problem. Well, let me tell you something. I just randomly selected anything. I just put up gangs in Oklahoma City in 1996, and look what came up. Numbers of known gang members in Oklahoma City. Now, this is the Oklahoma City gang members. This ain't got nothing to do with the homies coming to Oklahoma from Los Angeles, which we are a part of. You understand what I'm saying? And several other gangs. Check this out. And let's just go through this. In 1985, it was 100 gang members. 1986, 540 gang members. 1987, 980 gang members. 1988, 1,420 gang members. 1990, 1999, 2,300 gang members. 1991, 2,700 gang members. 1992, 3,180 gang members. 180 gang members. 1993, 3,620 gang members. 1994, 4,060 gang members. 1995, 4,500. These are registered gang members in Oklahoma. This ain't got nothing to do with the homies out there causing all kind of havoc in Oklahoma. From South Central Los Angeles, directly from South Central Los Angeles in Oklahoma. And the number one, you said 1996, 4,940 gangbangers. Projected source, Oklahoma City Police Department. This is the people that put that out. So for you to say that you this gang expert, you a solid street soldier from South Central Los Angeles, you participated in gangs, you know everything about gangs, drug dealing and all this, but you didn't know that Oklahoma City had a gang problem. That's what you said. Come on, man. And you believe this. And y'all sitting here commenting on this like, all this good stuff like this. I understand. You civilians, you don't understand. I know that. But that's why I exist now, to let people know that fraudulent people like this and other podcast people like that do not believe what they are telling you.
So I went and I sat down with the chief of police to see exactly, where did he want me to go with this. I did 2 years in the school system. They came to me and asked me that I want to interested into transferring to the streets, basically running traffic, pulling people over, writing tickets, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, let me do that. I'll do that. See what that's like. Because I actually want to see how they dealt with drug dealers, with me being on the other side of the law, and all the complaints that I had as a criminal. All the police brutality, all the mistreatment from the police, I got to witness that firsthand working with them. And a lot of times I would have to intervene on like, hold on, like, it was a couple of times where they had to have that conversation with me. Look, either you with us or you with them. So even in the training in the police academy, I dealt with racism. I dealt with discrimination because a lot of those officers felt like, this dude is a criminal. This dude is from the streets. How in the hell are you guys gonna let him work with us? Blah, blah, blah. That's why even after I became a police officer and I moved back to California, I still ended up hooking back up with my old homies and old gang members, and I ended up going to jail. Even after being a police officer, I went to jail.
Did you hear what he said? Did you listen to what he said? At some point, you man, listen. So you saying that you came back to California after 1997, this is close to 2000 now, and you was a police in Oklahoma. Now, at some point, you picking niggas up off the street. You never testified. Come on, man. You telling me that you was a police in Oklahoma, then you come back and you hook up with the homies and all this and that, and ain't nobody dealing with you. Ain't no LAPDs got no. Come on, man.
My experience with the LAPD, they still haven't found a way to deal with communities and cultures that they don't know nothing about. It's the same tactics. Dirty cops, bogus charges.
You a dirty
drugs, mistreatment because of who you are or what you represent. It's the same thing. It hasn't stopped. The one way the police can bridge the gap with the community is to continue to work with those that want to work with them. The Big U example from Rolling 60s. Guys that are gang activists that are trying to do things to stop the gang violence and help kids in the community and bring some positivity in the community. The main thing is to save lives. And after you save lives, you want to create opportunities. I went to jail in Oklahoma for robbery. Since at that time, when I was out there, it was for a robbery that I did when I was living in Oklahoma. When I came back to California in 2000.
How did you become a police officer? Go back on your own and look at the dates on that ID. If it's any dates on there. Maybe they got their story straight, but I don't know. I'm not going to say Oklahoma is just slow, stupid, and anything like that. How did you become a police officer? What robberies? Did you get caught for the robbery? These are the questions that I need to ask you while I'm sitting in the cell and we in the bunk in 9500 in the county jail. This is my sickness. I'm in my sickness. So when you come, I'm asking you all these questions once we start talking. Yeah, so what you do when you was out there? Are you going to tell me you was a police officer while you sitting in the county jail with me? Because if you do, it might be a problem. You understand what I'm saying?
2006, I went to jail again in 2009 for another robbery. And
wait a minute.
They end up finding about another robbery that I did.
Again.
And they combine community. The main thing is to save lives. And after you save lives, you want to create opportunities.
I got it. You got to hear this again. I'm not going to say nothing. Listen to this.
I went to jail in Oklahoma for robbery. Since at that time, when I was out there, it was for a robbery that I did when I was living in Oklahoma. When I came back to California in 2006, I went to jail again in 2009 for another robbery. And they end up finding about another robbery that I did, and they combined the cases. I ended up taking a 3-year deal. When I first got arrested, they took me down to the main LAPD headquarters, what they call the Parker Center. They transfer you the next day to the county facility. Community. The main thing is to save lives. And after you save—
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's get this straight. You went to jail in Oklahoma for robberies. This is what you said. Oklahoma is one of the wickedest places to go to jail in. They have probation after you get out of jail that lasts a lifetime. My G homie is still on probation to this day for a crime he did over 20-some years ago. Come on, man. And you mean to tell me that you was out there robbing folks, got on the police station, resigned from the police station, still doing robberies, got out of prison, came to LA, went to prison for robberies. They didn't bring up your past or nothing from Oklahoma and gave you a 3-year deal. Come on, man. What? Will somebody please stab this dude? That's what you're going to hear in the county jail and in California prison. Because you can't tell nobody this whole story like that. It don't make sense to me. That's why I'm telling you, do not let people just tell you anything, man, on these cameras acting like they know what's going on in these hoods and these streets and all this because they supposed to be these people out here in this streets. Because none of this, the whole story, your age, everything you saying has a question mark and an asterisk sign by it.
And that's like a box of dynamite waiting to explode. And sometimes you get put in those situations and the officers just leave you and they don't care. They don't, whatever happens in there, it happens. And you're going to always find somebody in there that's going to challenge you, especially if you're from a rival gang. You listen for the lingo, you listen to what they're saying. Or you might see people that you haven't seen since elementary and you lost contact with them, you wonder where they were at. Well, this is where they at. And so you find out that they from a Crip set. And so you guys just connect on one. Now, if it becomes a racial thing, Bloods and Crips, they find a way to unite against whatever race they have to go against. It can be some violence erupt in between the transportation into the different dorms or the different units. But for the most part, in the county jail, Crips was with Crips, Bloods with Bloods, or sometimes you get the general population where it's a mixed dorm. Now, don't get me wrong. If I went in there as a Menlo Crip or as a 60 Crip or 60 going there and they run into some Hoovers, it's bad blood automatically. No matter we're Crips and we're Crips, we're in the same unit. It don't matter. We need to settle this beef. So I might walk in here and a Hoover Crip might say, hey, you from Menlo? I need that fade. I need that fade. So that lets you know that at some point, you and this guy have to fight because both of y'all sets don't get along. Inside or outside of prison with Crippin', there's no different. The way you carry yourself on the streets is the same way that you expected to carry yourself in the prison, except at a higher level, because it's a little more dangerous in prison than it is on the streets. The thing that made me change my life was my kids. When I took the scholarship to the school, I was in the process of changing my life. I just didn't know it, but that was my start of changing my life. And when I started working with gangs and talking to the kids in the schools and at the juvenile jails, and I seen how I was getting through to them and how much they respected me from what I was telling them and trying to teach them, it just made me want to change. It just made me want to continue
But you ended up was doing robberies and
positive
all kind of
things.
shit.
And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Okay.
I met somebody one day and they told me I had this look. They's like, you should get into acting. You should think about acting. So I started doing acting little gigs, doing extra roles. And so I've done several projects.
Maybe this whole thing maybe this
TV series and dramas and different things.
Maybe this whole thing
that have gotten my foot into the door of acting. So
because
there's definitely some positivity that can happen from my past that was negative. Yeah.
Listen, man, check this out. Business Insider. Go to Business Insider, and you could see all this. You know what I'm saying? And go over it again for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And tell me what you think about this dude in this video, homie. Because I'm not believing nothing that you saying. I'm not believing the person that you saying you are. I'm not believing none of that. All that shit you said sounds felonious, and it's part of GAMD, gang addiction mental disorder. Everything you just did is a mental thing, and that's a disorder. And you addicted to it, and it's gangs. And you hoping it, I guess, it's going to help your career or whatever it's going to do. But I'm not never believing that you was a police officer in Oklahoma and a Crip in Oklahoma. You was 15 in 92. You killed somebody when you was 18 in 92. You killed somebody in 15 in the 80s. You feel me? Come on, man. I'm not believing none of that. And this is what they do. They will put somebody to infiltrate to make you think that they know about gangs. To say this is how crime works, who this person is. Come on, man. It's some snitching going on in there. You can't tell me that you didn't cooperate with somebody at some time. With Oklahoma, go ask the 6-0s and the 9-0s, homie. What are you talking about in the Hoovers? That's the gangs that's out there. Come on, man. What you talking about in Linwood and Hoods? Come on, man. What are you talking about? Go ask them how they stretch the homies out there. And you out there in 96 and you catch a case, a robbery case on top of that with a burner? Come on, man. And you can just join the police? I don't understand that. Make me understand that. There's something going on with this. So that's why I'm telling you, man, pay attention to the people that you want to listen to about this Crip and Blood stuff, because the new platform is social media, these podcasters, these stations like this to propaganda, to present this propaganda to make you believe this type of stuff so they can get clicks and views, man. Don't fall for that. That's why I exist. That's why God made me. God forged this position for me to be Dr. Crip, to tell this dude, hey man, you may have a good point to where you trying to say something to save somebody's lives or whatever, but you ain't gotta lie like that to save a life, homie. Just keep it real. If you was a snitch, because the snitching and gang banging and being a Crip in the blood, the snitching, that's like having cancer, homie. And it's how you deal with your cancer. How you going to treat your cancer? Because the best way to treat your cancer is to change your life, your eating habits and all that. So that means stop gang banging. Leave. Don't come over here no more. See, what I'm going to do is I'm going to present the next show. I'm going to present the signs of your sickness, cancer, snitching. You feel me? Being a busterism. Busterism is that you got too much stuff as a buster on your record from the very first time you tried to gangbang to the time you got put on as a gangbanger. During your first year or two of a gangbanger, still in your late 10 years as a gangbanger, you're still doing buster shit. You're still letting people sock you and you're running out the park. You're still letting people talk to you crazy. You're still telling people, oh, you owe me money when they stole their own work. You're still letting people leave guns in your car, then tell you, oh, take that case. You got to come on, man. Busterism. You're still getting beat up. You're still calling for your mama, your sister when you're fighting. You're still turning down fades when you didn't got the whole hood involved in your personal business. You still you still don't want to come to the park when your name is called. You still don't want to pull up in the hood. You still don't want to fight. You're still trying to talk shit down. All that is part of your sickness, man. This is Dr. Crip, man. No more in 24. When you look at these type of stories, it's why I say no more in 24. You don't even want no dude like this here to be part of your neighborhood, man. You don't need it in your neighborhood. You don't need no more people in your neighborhood. You don't need no more people thinking that they are affiliated with your neighborhood and they snitches and they marks and they buster. They do all kind of foul stuff. You don't need no more of that. You got enough of those type of situations and problems right now, man. This is Dr. Crip, man. Get it together. That's why I exist, to let people know if you want to find out cures and situations to stop your child from becoming part of a gang, this is where you turn to right here. Or another station like this, another show like this, that's going to keep it real for you, homie. Because don't listen to this type of propaganda. This is a plant. How they say plants in Hollywood and all that. This dude is a plant. That's all I can tell you. Because if he keep it real, he gonna tell you, oh man, I wasn't that person that I was saying. Oh man, look, I got caught up. I start snitching. Oh man, I tried to just live my life. I tried to give it a go, but the homies, was too. You'll hear a whole different story. And Business Insider wouldn't even be trying to use this dude as some type of truth to let you know whatever the point that they're trying to make. I still don't understand why they made this video. I don't understand to this day why. I can only assume behind the clicks and the views. That's it. Because I'm pretty sure with they platform it'll probably get up to 1 million views, but the more the people see it, the more niggas, the real homies is gonna be like, what did he say? Prison, jail in Oklahoma. he didn't know Oklahoma had a gang problem in 96, 97. I just read it to you. From the police, they said that they had 4,500 registered gang members busting on each other in Oklahoma. And that ain't even counting the homies that's coming out there from LA. Come on, man. So it don't sound right, man. You know, go get your book, man. It's in Walmart. It's on Amazon. drcrip.com, baseball book. Look out for the short stories, you know. Learn the cures. We're going to start talking about the cures for your kids, getting them educated. That's the only way to beat gang violence, is to educate your child and put stuff, self-esteem goals in front of your child. When you live in these streets right now, man, you have to start working with your kids a lot earlier in life. You know, I know we want them to be babies for a whole long time, but we got to start, you know, letting them know that this ain't the way to go. You know, this is not it. Don't do that. You know. So this is Dr. Crip, man. I'm glad I hung out with y'all for this Saturday, but I had to get this video in to let y'all know that it's felonious stuff that's going on out here, man. And this dude is part of it. These people are part of it, whoever they are. So do not be fooled by this, you know. And yes, I did send messages, all that to them. And I told them if they want to interview a real Crip that's out here, that been through it, that's trying to change and save lives, they really need to holler at me. That's who you need to holler at. That's who you need to come talk to. Come talk to Dr. Crip, because I'm going to keep it 100 with you, because we trying to save lives over here. We ain't trying to be trying to pump up no names and no people like that and make them in situations and gangs and all that, man. You know, we ain't trying to do that. And shout out to the real gang interventionists that was mentioned in here. You feel me? People that's really on the front line that's trying to change stuff. You know, like I said, you know, we need a spot to where real gang interventionists can go. You know, and that's something that the mayor needs to talk about. Once again, Taco, my boy, I hate Taco, Ben, go get at the mayor, man, and tell them, man, we need a sanctuary spot, man. We need something for the gang interventionist once he get killed out here, you know, once something happened, man. His life is on the front line. So, you know, this is Dr. Crip, man. Enjoy your Saturday, homie. Stay focused and go do something positive with a child, man. Yeah, no more in 2024.
So whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna do it. And that's gonna be them distinguishing decisions. And that separate the ones that end up getting it from the ones that don't. I had to take 2 steps back to take 10 forward. But then 2 back hurt. That's painful. That moment right there is gonna be a defining moment. You know what I mean? Where you used to getting treated a certain way, you used to getting received a certain way, and then you step back because of your sacrifice. You didn't forget you was the man. You didn't forget how people react to you. It ain't nothing but a little bit of brush up you gotta do, but you almost forget. You know what I'm saying? It affect everything, your confidence, how you look at yourself. But that's the test.